All right, Shane Christopher Neal, Industry 45 show, Giant TV Niagara. Go to giantfm.com, click on the Giant TV little icon, and it will take you to Giant TV, or you can go to Giant TV Niagara on YouTube and check it out. Tonight, the Box is playing the Seneca Queen Theatre here in Niagara Falls, and Jean-Marc Pisapie and I sit down, and I was thinking to myself, you know what, that a song like Ordinary People, maybe Carry On was their biggest hit, but no, it's not. And he's going to tell you what it is if you watch this interview. Also, he was a member of Men Without Hats. He's going to talk about that and so much more. It's coming up right now. Industry 45, Giant TV Niagara. Check it out. All right, Industry 45, Giant TV. Jean-Marc, Shane, how you doing, my friend?
Very well.
Good to see you. So I was telling you a story before we started to roll the camera that on my way here I listened to Carry On like 20 times, or maybe not 20, but maybe 5.
Get a life.
Yeah, and I totally forgot that the Box did that song. Take me back to the beginning of this band though, in the early 80s, and how you kind of came up with the whole concept. The new wave was taking off, and you guys kind of fit right into that here in Canada.
Well, one thing that few people know is that my first band before the Box was another outfit from Montreal called Men Without Hats.
Yes, that's right. So, okay, you were what part of Men Without Hats? The beginning part?
Yeah, well, they had released the first EP.
Okay.
And then I was hired to do an American tour. And I was playing keyboards, that's it. Ivan was doing the singing, and but it was a very good school for me. And then, long story short, what happens is that I left the band to do the Box after that. And we had the same management, same record company. So things, when Men Without Hats really hit it big, we were about to release our first record, so it opened up a lot of doors.
So did you open up for them
on
tour?
It never
or
happened.
you just...
Yes, actually, it did happen. Yeah, but not very often.
No.
For some reason, the management didn't really want us to be together.
So talk about that time in the 80s. This is an industry show when so many times I think back to the early 80s, mid 80s, and MTV becomes big, and Much Music becomes big in Canada. And maybe how important was that into the success of bands like yours?
It was extremely important for a very simple reason. It's because you could, from overnight, you could put a face to a music that everybody knew. For example, I remember one day I took the bus to go somewhere in Montreal, and someone was staring at me on the back of the bus, and she finally came to me and said, "Haven't I seen you on TV?" And I said, "Well, yeah, on the Box, no, we released a video." And she said, "What are you doing on this bus? Shouldn't you be in a Ferrari somewhere?" And I thought, there you go, that's the idea. And as luck would have it, overnight.
You did have a Ferrari. No,
I didn't. No, I never have. But yeah, the success of the band was largely due to the video industry.
So new wave at the time, talk to me about that too, because that was kind of the time when a lot of great new wave bands were coming up. So why did you, I guess you look at that as the genre of music that you wanted to do? You're just not a rock guy, you were like, where did you kind of fit into all that?
I don't know. Well, I never considered the Box to be a new wave band.
No.
Early Men Without Hats was a typical new wave
Absolutely.
band. But when we started, we were, all guitars and drums and stuff like that. We didn't really use drum machines and the keyboards extensively. So I didn't really consider us as a new wave band per se. However, I knew that I didn't want to fit anywhere particularly. So we were going to do, La Fille du Moutier is an excellent example of that. You know that song?
Yeah.
It's a murder story.
It's the one I can't say it, but yeah.
Right. The English title is Say to Me.
Okay.
And that say to me, that thing there. And so it tells a story. There's someone who speaks there, but he doesn't rap. There are 2 choruses, a murder story. Who puts out a single on the radio with a murder story? Yeah. So that's the idea that I wanted to convey. And a lot of people came to me and said, that your band really has progressive undertones. And it didn't surprise
I've heard that
me.
as well.
Yeah, because my musical diet from the 70s was all progressive bands. And I was very frustrated that I couldn't do that genre at that time because it wouldn't have worked at all. So we had to bring in some elements of the progressive genre into the pop scene. Right. And make sure that a 3-minute song could convey some kind of storytelling. And that was a lot part of the sound of the band at that time.
You say progressive, and I'm just on social media the other day, and a friend of mine and a friend of yours, Sean Kelly, pipes up and says that one of the best progressive bands. And I thought, man, maybe he's right. Yeah, I never really thought about it kind of that way. And Sean's a musical genius, right, in Canada. So that's kind of interesting. Let's talk about, so Sass Jordan was part of your band for a few years. Talk about how that relationship kind of fostered at the beginning and what that kind of meant to the box.
It was just marvelous. We hired Sass as a backup singer, period. And she turned out to be one of the boys. But I really mean it in the true sense. That girl is anything but sissy, and she will do everything that all the other guys will do. She never complained, and she always delivered.
And this is before she became kind of a commercial success,
absolutely.
Yes? Okay.
She was part of the band before that. Don't remember the name, by the way. Maybe it was called the Pinups or something like that. Anyways, she had experience. She knew about the road scene and all that.
Right.
And then we took her and the other back we had two in the studio to do the backup singing for the third album.
Right.
And she delivered everything that had to be done, and it was just fantastic. And when she left the band to pursue her own career, I had no doubt in my mind.
She'd be successful?
Oh yeah, and it was like, good luck to you. And if we could have been in any way a springboard for you to get to where you want to go, great.
So before this happened today, I thought of Ordinary People as your biggest hit, and then I realized that it wasn't, and Carry On was.
Neither.
Neither?
No,
okay, well, what does Wikipedia know?
I know. Yeah, really. No, the biggest hit we had was Closer Together.
Closer Together, okay. So tell me about that song then in particular and why that became such a big success for you.
Funny story, because Closer Together was a commission. We were asked by Lucan, the Foundation Against Leukemia, in the context of a fundraiser, a huge fundraiser that involved the Montreal Canadiens, who had just won the Stanley Cup in 1986, us, and other prominent artists from the Quebec scene at that time, Martine Sinclair, who does the backup singing in that song.
Okay, yeah.
And I came up with that thing on that theme, that Closer Together, the team spirit will eventually defeat this cancer thing. And then the song came up, and and the record company just went nuts. And they wanted absolutely to have it on the next record. So we put it on the third record, and it was actually the first single, and it just blew the charts everywhere. But then again, the one hit that we had outside of Canada was not that, it was Temptation from the fourth album. We had to wait that long for that, yeah.
Wow. I want to talk to you about Carry On, though. I keep going back to it because I love the song. Tell me about the recording of that, because we were talking about that before we started tape here, and I think that's an interesting story, because the sound of that song, the harmonies that are in there, the production that's in there, what a great song.
All of that is due to the fantastic work of a producer at that time, a guy named Martin Rushent, better known for his Grammy Awards for the Human League.
Oh, we all know the Human League.
Exactly. Don't you want me, baby? That song particularly, which he had co-written with the band. The guy was an engineer first and foremost, with Gentle Giant, mostly known for that. And then he became a producer. He had his own studio because he made a fortune with the Human League.
Right.
And we flew to England, and we stayed there 5 months with him. And we recorded all the songs there. But he taught us how to produce a song, how to write a song, how to make it economical, how to structure it, all of these things that we already kind of more or less knew how to do.
Right.
But he just came in and owned everything, and it gave that result.
And a great song. I want to ask you, we talk about the highs, but after Closer Together, Ordinary People come out. Everyone knows that song on the radio. Come on.
Yes, absolutely.
So 1990 happens, and you have The Pleasure and Pain. And commercially, it seems to be a disappointment for you.
It was.
So how do you take that as an artist? So you're coming off
Very bad.
Ordinary People is out there. Bring me back to that time in the early 90s when grunge is taking over, and basically you have an album out there that's going nowhere.
The thing is, we were signed with Polygram for Canada, and somehow that company, which by the way is German, couldn't get us out of the frontiers of Canada. And I thought, why? And so I put a lot of pressure on the record company to switch us from Polygram to Capital EMI. And they signed us with Capital EMI in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Now, when we came back from England, and by the way, Martin Rushent knew everybody at Capital EMI, and he was very well established. And when time came to put this record out, there was a big blunder on the part of Capital EMI. They released our record. it was the time that everybody put their material on CDs. CDs
Right.
were just
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
out. Cabriolet is the Beatles, and they decided to put a compilation of all the Beatles' work in a cube, okay, in a box like this, which they called the Cube, and they released it the same week as us.
So you're not going to compete against that.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And everything fell apart right there. So it's just one of those.
And then you just
stupid
banded a couple
blunders.
years later, right? Your band kind of.
Well, I lost half of the band just after that because
Right.
they were absolutely
Devastated.
completely,
Right.
disheartened by the way that a record company with one move like that could ruin 12, 13 years of work, like we had.
But they
been.
did that to a lot of
Oh yeah, it
artists,
happens
right,
all
right.
the time. It's just that we don't hear about it.
So you come back many years later now, and you're now on the road again with the box. So explain to me maybe about your mindset of like, is it, you know, all this music is kind of coming back, it's back on the radio, people are paying attention to it. Why did you decide to kind of, I guess, put this back together and go out on tour?
I had relentless pressure from the industry to reform the band and play live. Okay, so I went to see the former guys and I said, "Would you like to do that?" And they said, "No." All right, no. Meanwhile, I had been on the scene in Montreal, met a lot of people, and I decided I proposed to these guys, which I met. What do you say if we reformed a version of the box with me singing, writing all the songs, and you guys play with me? And they said, "Sure, absolutely." Keep in mind, radios at that point are not playing anything new.
Right,
They
absolutely.
only play the oldies, and they were playing box oldies across the board. So these guys said, "Yeah, let's do it." So it's night and day because this band and me, which by the way I've been together for 14 years now,
Wow.
since 2005.
Crazy.
We are 2 years older than the
The
first
original,
version of the band. The first version was 12, and we are now 14, entering 15. And these guys and us, when we go on stage, we do it because we want to, not because we have to.
Right.
You know, so it's night and day. And as you will see tonight, we have fun on stage. We really do. We don't
That's awesome.
fake it. We really don't. And it's contagious.
That's
and
awesome.
then the crowd comes in. And when we start playing all of these old hits
Hits,
from the
yeah.
80s, forget it.
So what you're saying is you're carrying on and you're not ordinary people, and they are the box. This is Jean-Marc. Thank you so much, my friend. Awesome.
you.
Great to see you. I'm so looking forward to
see you
tonight.
later.
This is the Industry 45 show, Giant TV Niagara. www.giantfm.com or Giant TV Niagara on YouTube. Check it out.